The Allen Perspective.
I've been wanting to throw more diversity into our podcast, and we've had all men. So me and Warren, like, we need a woman. And I kept saying, I need a woman like Tatum. Like, has these things, these qualities about her before she sits down. And then I finally say that to Tatum, and she's like, I think I could do it then. Yeah, let's just go. And so here we are. So this is my wife, Tatum Hardison.
I don't participate in these often.
Well, and this is hitting a different clientele, right? So, not really. Some of our followers from the holistic company are certainly watching the Allen Perspective, but this is hitting like different people. So maybe not people from this side would know who you are yet.
Yeah, lots of different topics, right?
So I introduced you as my wife, but introduce yourself professionally, maybe.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, because I want people to know that there's brains behind the operation.
So I am a licensed clinical social worker, a licensed clinical addiction specialist, a certified clinical trauma professional, certified sex offender treatment provider, a certified clinical supervisor. I'm got my bachelor's in clinical psychology in Raleigh and my master's in social work with a substance abuse certification at ECU. So go Pirates. And I've been a therapist for officially a full decade now. So that's my big girl job.
And you supervise as well.
Lots and lots of new therapists, which I love. I really, really enjoy doing, actually. Love helping new therapists grow and help other people. It feels really good.
So that, just coming straight from there, what was your first licensure you had?
I got my licensed clinical social work and my licensed clinical addiction specialist. Both of those are associates for 2 years because you have to be monitored. But I got those at the same time after I finished my master's.
So perfect, because I thought that's how it worked, and I just want to make sure, because when you start adding all those letters,
Alan makes fun of me because of the letters.
So I get her to say that just to follow up and say, like, how we got involved with this industry is kind of comical, because that's her background, and I was going through a lot of shit, and she's like, you should probably smoke weed. Kind of makes me emotional, take me back to that place. I've been microdosing, and my emotions are present, but not today, but just like recently. And that was a really hard time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's after Lake was born, huh?
Yeah, no, everything was good, and until a lawsuit hit, and headaches were already starting to ramp up.
Yeah.
And she was like, dude, you probably just need to smoke pot. And I had a relationship with the plant prior in my life, but it was not the same. And so I was a little hesitant. And then you got to think about, like, bringing drugs home, right? So it was something that we dipped into, and it was very hard for me to find relief. Like, I knew I was getting relief. I didn't know really how. It took a lot of practice and like a lot of times of getting high before I like started. It was more of an anxiety thing for me, and I didn't really know how to medicate properly. And open conversations with Tatum led to her studying, because she knows how to study better than I do.
I like reading research articles a lot for fun.
It's like the nerd comes out of her from college. And
I was doing it this morning.
So that's why I say she's the brains behind it, right? So like I can come to her with a problem, something I cannot comprehend, or have the patience, even if I did have the ability, but have the patience to go and research. But she knows how to do these things, right? And so I can come to her with a thought, and boom, and she's with her own thoughts too, right? But this is a good resource for me, is to be able to say, hey, look, what do you think about X? And 2 or 3 days later, maybe a week later, depending on her schedule, because she stays busy, she comes back with some theories nonetheless. Like a lot of times we start drawing
Sure.
triangle correlations, but um, what's it been like? What's this whole journey been like? Like, and how do you think it relates into what you do day to day?
I think the journey, as far as like us getting here as advocates for plant medicine, you mean? Or in
Just
business, or
period. Here we
with
are,
you?
husband and wife, which has been a journey in itself.
Absolutely.
Here we are as business partners, which has been a journey itself, and here we are as two individuals with
On your birthday.
with a common passion.
Yeah. I think the journey itself's just been unreal. Like, it still feels like it's not real.
We don't feel like we're in the driver's seat of it for sure. Like,
Are we? I don't.
oh, well,
I don't know.
sometimes we're just hanging on, right?
I think it's even more interesting though for me because I came from the background of everything's bad.
Yeah.
I don't smoke weed. When I told you to start smoking for medicinal reasons, I didn't and don't use weed.
No, still don't.
Right. So it definitely came from a place of like, this would help. And this is what research shows. And I feel like that the thing that keeps kind of standing out to me hearing you talk is just how it aligns with what I do for a living. You know, I have to keep that very separate. I'm getting blinded by the light. But it's a matter of helping educate people on making healthy decisions and having access to things that are beneficial for them, but also things that are not bad for them, because that's the risk of when people are not educated and understand what they're putting in their body, they face more risk than if we just educate them to begin with. And so I think that's been my passion behind it this whole time, is just how do we not only help people get access, but really understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
Especially currently, like there's a lot of fear. I was reading an article this morning about a student in the Raleigh area that overdosed from something that was laced, and that's just that in itself is just kind of the harm reduction model, I guess, of helping people access things that are actually doing what they want it to do, what they believe it's going to do, and not come with life-threatening risk.
So you walk a fine line, right? Like, and you take your professional career above all. Like that's what's most important, and you've been really good about not crossing those lines. I know that from this side of things.
Yeah.
But can you explain like what that looks like, maybe? For example, just both maybe, but one example is like you never recommend to any of your clients to go to our stores. That would not ever happen.
Absolutely not.
And so there's one
not a
example, but
conversation.
give me some other things that you.
I think I go back to the education. Like, I appreciate being in this. I feel like it's the same field from my perspective, but it's not. So, obviously people assume being an addiction specialist that drugs are bad. Again, but that's not the concept.
Sure.
The concept is educating people on how to be healthy and in recovery. And so I think anytime the conversation comes up, I really appreciate being able to talk to them about, I don't know if that's a good choice, or are you really sure? Do you know what you're doing? Like, these are the possible outcomes. Like, it's not telling them anything from our business perspective, but just have researched and studied this enough because of the business we built, that and the people we've talked to and the experience we've had at this point, that I'm able to give them information that is not only just like, here's what this article says, but also
here's what 1,000 customers say.
Here's what I know.
Yeah.
Here's what I've seen. Like,
but you don't tell them that it's
right.
Exactly
right. So it helps, I think, really be able to give them the tools to make the healthiest decision without being impulsive.
Yeah.
I enjoy those conversations, and they don't come up often. I don't initiate them myself. I just take that role as an educator of skills and
because you have
awareness.
that knowledge. It's just like a little secret weapon when they bring it up. Boom.
Yeah.
Okay, I know. I understand you. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So you made a career out of helping people way prior to our store.
Yeah.
Um,
And I don't even know that the store started like that. It wasn't even the starting point. It just became that when we
it
saw
kind of
what was
happened.
happening.
Yeah,
And it
like
was
that
like,
was by
oh
accident.
my gosh.
Really, we were chasing $1 to start with. It's like, how do we make this other business work?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it was kind of out of desperation and trying to also scratch a creative.
You were growing, and you said we got to do something with it.
Yep.
And we literally said, okay, well, let's sell it, and then it became what it did. I read and talked and researched and found products that were suitable and very
Early on, our partnership with Chris
yeah
really took us to the next level.
I was very picky, but again, because I want healthy products that are going to be safe for people, and then we just started having conversations, like the conversations with the people and the feedback we were getting, whoa.
What's the most incredible thing that you've heard? Cannabis side. Obviously, you've heard some really crazy things through what you do at work, right? But cannabis side, what's the one that hits you the hardest?
I think plant medicine impacts people differently. I think there's obviously some consistency across the board and things that we can use it to treat for, but I think there are genuinely people that don't need to live without it. And I've seen people that when they don't have their tincture, that they don't function as well, and hardly function. And then certainly within 24 hours, but I've even got notifications of within 30 minutes of I'm already relieved. I'm already feeling better. And you can see that person again, and you can
different person.
Like I don't know how else to say it. Like that.
And not high.
No, not at all. Not one bit.
That's what people don't understand. Like, you don't have to get there. And I'm not the prime example of that, right? Because I smoke more chronic than
and that's gotten more over the years, right? But,
and
there was a time in our marriage, and I still have said this to people, that I think we've officially been together over 9 years, going on that decade number 2. But I said to people at one point, like, that first step in us saying we need to make our marriage work was you got to start smoking.
Yeah.
Like, that was crucial.
Really?
And we've added some steps since then, but like I include that in part of that saved our marriage.
Sure.
Had you not,
100%.
I don't know how we would have.
I can't remember quite the chronological order, if I had already gave up drinking.
Yes. Yeah. So you
I was
stopped
just
drinking
sober
before we even got pregnant.
So I was just sober.
Yeah. You didn't start smoking until after Lake was born.
You're right. Yep. So I was trying to put that together. I remember I was getting little vape pens because I was scared to death, right? Like, oh shit, here I'm a grown ass man with a brand new baby in this world, and like I gotta go buy drugs.
Well, I think that's a cool story too. Just, Lake's a little older now and young, but adultish. But for the longest time, all she knew was Daddy's medicine.
Yeah.
She didn't know it as anything else.
Until other people told her different, right? Like,
maybe, yeah.
Like we had to. Well, we kind of stayed out ahead of the curve there. Is like a good example. One of her friends' dad's a cop, and she was a little nervous about.
She says she wasn't, so y'all don't tell her.
But about it, like them having I was like, dude, and we cleared it up, right? We met the guy in public, and he was like, oh no, everything's legal that he's doing, right? But damn, I'm that Pineapple Express got me, and I forgot where I was going with that.
I mean, Daddy's medicine.
Yeah, so that's what she knows it as. But we also know she knows it's weed too.
The primary thing was, but she did when she was little.
No,
so
sure.
Like 4 years ago, when we were living on the farm, and Chris had made us a formula. I don't know what to call it. Dab.
They ended up being the 1-to-1 formula.
Yeah, basically the formula. But the formula, it was a very specific terpene line, and it had very specific cannabinoids in a certain balance that when your headache started, you couldn't get it together. Like, I would have to literally put the pieces in the glass and the fire, and I had no idea what I was doing. And Lake was typically asleep, but sometimes she wouldn't be, and so she would literally see me make Daddy's medicine, and that's when it became Daddy's medicine. Why does that make you sad?
It's because I remember when you took that role, it's like I was desperate, dizzy, like
You would stumble getting in there. Yeah.
I've just been free of that for like 40 days.
Yeah, I think you forget sometimes, I think your mind helps you forget to protect you, but you definitely come from your own testimony, babe. We don't do this because of other people. You know what it can do.
That's the way I like to think of it, though, Oh. Thanks. No, it's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Because it's a good testament for like a lot of things, right? Like where we come from, cannabis wise, and like one example of a length you were willing to go to help me, right? Like, but to your point is, it doesn't get any more drugs other than a needle than taking a dab rig in front of a dab hit in front of your daughter. And so that's, for those who aren't familiar with that process, like Tatum was just explaining, it's like you got a torch, you got glass pieces, and it's very specific. And if it's too hot, you're coughing your brains out for the next 20 minutes. If it's too cool, you didn't get that hit. So it can be a weird thing for a kid to watch. And
I didn't know. I had never seen it like this. I grew up in that household that was no drugs or alcohol, right? So like I couldn't imagine.
But that is like drugs to people's brains,
Sure.
like
Sure.
it looks way
I think
worse
if someone
than
else
even
would
a
have
bowl.
saw that, they would have never assumed that was simply the plant.
Oh,
they
sure
would have had
not.
a way bigger. But that's all it was, and it was done in that form specifically so that it could get to your headache quicker. Like it was medically designed.
Yeah.
Without a doctor.
And then we turned that into the 1-to-1.
Yeah, and
it's been our
best
number
formula
one
we have. Yeah.
selling tincture for.
Well, what's crazy is that we met our chemist, I call him, but Chris, right, and his wife, that are phenomenal. And they had several formulas that are phenomenal that we still advocate for, but that one they literally created for you, and that feels good.
Yeah. And then to know that it's gone so far.
And it helps so many different people for like things we didn't even know. Right? The things you learn. So anyways, back to, I think I was saying earlier that I had never seen that. Like I did not expect my life to be this.
I didn't.
You
at 16, at 16, 17, 18,
I was going a different direction.
You were definitely going a different direction on many aspects.
I would not be sitting in the middle of the woods.
On our property, like this is where we're at. We're on the farm, and well, to be fair, you didn't marry a hippie.
That's true. You're so different.
You married like a party guy almost, not like excessively, but
I think I got the tail end of that.
You did. You got the very tail. Well, it's because I fell in love. Like I didn't have to show off and act crazy, and
nobody believed you.
Yeah. Statistically, it's not a smart play.
I think it depends on who you ask. I think there's lots of podcasts that would say differently.
I think in many ways it's helped.
I say podcasts because I don't know who to reference, but like I've heard couples speaking via podcast saying differently.
It's helped and it's hurt. It's been both.
One thing that Al and I have to do very intentionally is if we ever actually get time alone or a date night, we end up talking about business, and that sucks. Like, sometimes I just get tired of the conversation sometimes. And we've had conversations about how do we talk about something else, and then it feels like we have nothing else to talk about. And that is also a problem. I don't really feel like we started so small as well. And when you first got into the flower business, I was hands off entirely.
Yeah.
So I stepped in at some point separately with in my head was, I just need to support my husband with this in this moment.
Yeah.
I never expected this at all.
And that's a good thing. It simply started as you designing the store, helping with research and paying bills. Like,
yeah, I mean, I remember sitting down like for the first time looking at
a
what are
full-time
products,
second job.
because I didn't even know anything like.
So I mean, that's fair to say, right? Like, she thought she was going to give me a little push,
and you were going to do the rest. So the idea of going into business together wasn't even like on purpose.
Yeah, that wasn't really,
right.
Honestly. Yeah.
And so it just kind of happened, and then we opened a storefront with the idea of we need to sell the flower you grew.
Yeah.
And then it became successful. Like that, it was not.
We honestly intended.
None of it was on purpose.
No, honestly, Fremont was put up, and we had a conversation. We'll never make more than $3,000 or $4,000 here a month ever.
That's it.
And if I work here by myself,
literally pay for the product we bought, like not like take home.
Yeah, that was gross.
That was
we were stating to gross that. I'd put $500 in my pocket,
maybe
have something to do.
Yeah, it was never intended to prop. Like, it was never. That's what feels so unreal about it. Like,
yeah.
When I think about us being business owners together, it really didn't become that challenging until we grew.
The expansion, yeah.
Yeah. Other people got involved, and you and I both have this desire to take care of the people we love.
Yeah.
And that can be hard sometimes, because I tell people all the time that you can live with people you can't sleep with, but like, it helps if you can sleep with them.
Yeah.
I feel kind of similar about business. Like, if going into business with friends and family is some hard shit.
Yeah.
It's going to create some problems.
Well, people that become friends and family. Like,
yeah.
Because sometimes somebody underperforms and you want to do something about it, but you care about and love this person in a way that your relationship's such that you don't want to address the issue. And I'm not talking about anybody in particular. We've seen it 10 times. Like,
yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, I mean, Warren's a good example of that he doesn't mind if I throw him under the bus. It's like, right here, I want to be a little disappointed, but he's also a friend at this point. Like,
yeah.
Which is also family. Like, we take friendship in our life. Our friends, our family.
But I remember having a conversation with my therapist in January of 2020, because we opened in 2019.
Yeah.
About my frustration with you.
Yeah.
Because you just could not post on Facebook to save your life.
Yeah.
And I would get off work from seeing people, and I would come to the shop, and Alan would be in our nice, beautiful Chase that's still there, so comfy, chilling, having not posted on Facebook all day long. And I literally was like, what do I do? And she was like, just fire him. Hire somebody. And then there was Erica. That's where Erica came from. And so, like, it's been, because it was even weird then for me to say, hey, we need this from you.
Yeah.
And
I sucked at it.
Still sucks at that part. That's all you ever worn.
But that's why I went live, and those were actually doing good until Facebook said, you cannabis people.
But then that was a barrier, because then your lives backfired on my career.
Yeah, that's an interesting point to bring up. I mean, I get it's a touchy subject, but hey, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, that backfired.
And
then the lives dwindled.
The licensing board didn't like the fact that she had ownership in a cannabis company.
Yes, but it goes a little deeper. You know, I get very. You got to get really close to people for them to tell you things so privately and in depth. And so, I think there was a family that was just had their own trauma with substance use, vaping specifically, and accidentally stumbled across the holistic company. And I think the thing that frustrated me most was, for the longest time I wouldn't allow vape products in our shop. Like, I intentionally did not have that there.
Yeah.
Because I knew the risk and the concerns.
Yeah.
Which is why the only products we have are very specifically designed in this one other company, because I don't trust them. Like that. I only, again, goes back to that safety portion. So this person came across that and realized I was connected, and because of their own trauma related to a different type of vaping product that was not ours, reported me to my board, and my board hired an attorney and sent me a letter from an attorney, which is very abnormal.
Which costs us a lot of money, right?
Costs us a lot of money. Worth it though, because they're where I. And I have not been, honestly, since then. That's when you stopped making your lives.
Yeah.
I stopped being as involved on social media, and it hurt the business.
Yeah, it did.
Tremendously.
Yeah. Financially and, financially again, because...
But I have to prioritize what I do.
Yeah, we had to, because it's no secret to our people, so it shouldn't be any secret to my people, is you were where all the money was coming from to support this growth.
Yeah.
If you weren't holding it down, we wouldn't be here, because I couldn't have gone and done what I've done for the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a scary time. I felt confident.
It was scary, and obviously it was scary enough that we changed what we were doing, but I think we felt confident enough in what we were doing to trust that it was the right thing and worth fighting for.
Yeah.
And I got to
And it turned out okay.
Continue helping people. Nothing changed in my career. I think I got better, really.
Yeah. But that's things that people don't understand that we've gone through is that goes beyond, that goes into the three realms of marriage. That affected our marriage immediately.
Mm-hmm.
It affected our business immediately. It affected your career immediately. So it's triple whammied all at once, and people think that we hadn't made those sacrifices.
Oh, we've made a ton.
Been
very fortunate, but it feels.
It's worked out, right? But we've been put through the hammer to be here, and I thought getting into it, the West Coast had done all the work for us. This will be easy.
I don't even think we've even crossed that bridge yet,
dude. We're I don't know. Me and Warren are working on something that we're gonna get a good look into.
Yeah.
A lot of things, and so I don't know. I'm excited about that coming up. What do you want to end on? Because we probably gotta wrap this up.
I think people always ask me when they learn what I do, because as much as I try to keep it separate, we do have to have a public eye so that people know our business is there. And so Gold Swirl's really not that big. People, when they do start asking questions, they always ask me, so are you ever going to stop doing therapy? And I always tell them, absolutely not. That's what I want to do.
That's
right?
your drive.
And I think some people sometimes will say, who said the other day, Jenna. I was talking to Jenna, who helped us do the organization.
Yeah.
We were talking about the businesses, and she was like, how do you do everything? And I was like, well, I heard Dad came on to help me. And she was like, yeah, that makes so much sense. And I was like, yeah, and I still have 6 hours of work a week. And she was like, what? She had no idea that I was still being a therapist. And so people always ask me, when are you going to stop?
But they also assumed that the money was good enough that you could have.
Yeah, it's not.
That's not
why we're here.
That wouldn't have even been an option.
Yeah, no.
Had you wanted it to be.
But I think it's important for people to know, this for you has become your career.
Yeah.
And I think it is a career for me, but my career is being a therapist.
Yeah.
And I want to do that until I'm 75, even if it's seeing 2 people a day.
Yeah. I agree. You always need that. You need to scratch that itch.
Passion. That's what I do.
You're good at it.
I got a what they call a niche.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing is one day they might not have to be separate.
That's the goal.
That would feel so unreal.
That's what our brains tell us, that they shouldn't be separate.
One of the topics that keeps coming up in our supervision group repeatedly, and maybe there's some meaning behind that, I think there's purpose and signs, right, is the realm of psychedelic therapy treatments. So maybe we can do that soon. I can pull some of those articles and we can
And sit back down.
Yeah, sit back down. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
That'd be a cool conversation.
Yep, and I'm not scared to. Well, I kind of am scared, but I will eat a handful of mushrooms to be the experiment there. And what another,
Not with my involvement.
What another life changing.
Not me.
What another life changing thing for us though.
Yeah, that was one of the
That's probably the biggest.
weed, medicine, therapy, mushrooms.
Yeah.
That's the order it went in.
Chronologically.
Yes, chronologically, that's the order it went
And
in.
I think the mushrooms put it all together.
Yeah.
You did that without Tatum knowing about it.
Yeah. Yeah, don't call me for 12 hours. Don't ask any questions. I promise I'm not at a strip club. Like, how does that go, right? I actually had that conversation with a guy
You lit that specific
who wants
conversation.
help this morning.
You
I
did.
won't throw anybody under the bus, but just throw this out there, guys. Do not go and try to do this behind your spouse's back. Even if it is a criminal activity, just go to a legal spot, right? But let them know, because as soon as they call you saying, what the hell are you up to? Why you got your phone off? Which Tatum doesn't track my phone anyway, but had I not answered in 8 hours because I was crawled up under a log seeing little purple people, then we might have a problem.
But
So
I
let
think
them
that
know.
goes back to education, though, right? Like,
Yeah,
you got
let
to
'em know.
Going in with intention,
100%.
knowing what you're prepared and your support system.
We
is
finally got our
prepared for.
grinders in order.
Knowing for the aftermath of that in your support system. Like, there's so many things that are not just, oh, I want to have fun.
Speaking of intention, the grinders that we got ordered,
Mm-hmm.
finally, we put set your intention on the bottom part
Oh,
of it.
nice.
Because
Cool,
you should
cool.
do that with not only mushrooms but cannabis as well. Even if it's just, my intention is to be recreational and relax. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It could be that, but set that intention. All right, so you still love me after all this?
Yeah, that was kind of cool. That was okay.
No, I mean, like, that's the question. After everything, boom, 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 like business, marriage. Today's my birthday.
Today is your birthday.
We're sitting here doing a podcast on our farm, which we also created.
Our kids having a play date.
Yep. What, do you still love me after all of this?
Yeah, more probably.
All
Probably a
this
lot more.
time.
Last time I could have punched you, but I didn't.